You've been begging for a rivalry in the Queensland capital, Gus, and it delivered on its very first occasion.
Absolutely. Wonderful for the game. Wonderful for Queensland Rugby League, wonderful for the National Rugby League, and could be the start of something really big into the future. I think this will be one of the nation's great sporting rivalries for many decades to come. We need another team in Brisbane. Just to keep
another one? You want the third one?
Want a third one in Brisbane?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not against that. I obviously don't really support Queensland. I like Queensland, but I think the people of Queensland love their rugby league and they turn up, and to have 50,000 at this game the other night, I honestly believe there would have been a fair few supporters there that actually wouldn't have supported either team or not knowing who to support, and they would have walked away after that game probably supporting the Dolphins or the Broncos, whichever one it was. But I just think that 50,000 there was outstanding for the game, and I would support another team out there. I think it'd be a good idea.
It was quite strange sitting sidelined for the game and being in front of the members area, and it was a Dolphins home game. And to be at Suncorp Stadium and you've got a split in the crowd of 50-50 cheering for either team, it's...
Especially the Broncos.
We haven't seen it before with the Broncos. Other than Magic Round, you don't get anything like it.
Exactly, and they've been there for 20 or 30 years.
You either go there and it's all Queensland or it's all Broncos.
100%.
Well,
so the other night I thought was brilliant for the game. Look, I thought the game itself, on the quality of the game, if you compare it to the Thursday night game, probably wasn't the same quality, but I don't think that mattered. I just thought the close of the game was great. The end of the game was great, and the whole thing was a great spectacle.
Big test now for the Dolphins' depth, Gus. Sean O'Sullivan, massive loss. He's looking at a long-term stint on the sideline as well. This was always the worry with the Dolphins if they did lose a few of their starting 17.
Yeah, well, they went for a blend of experience, and underneath that, a lot of really promising young players who will make a name for themselves in the coming seasons. The key was not to expose them to the top grade too early. You needed those foot soldiers to keep going a little bit longer. Sean O'Sullivan's a good young halfback and he was giving them plenty of direction. It's going to be hard. They have got replacements there, but not with that experience, and that's where they're going to be tested. When the Broncos first came into the competition back in 1988, and we remember that time they flogged Manly in their first game, and it was virtually an origin side. They had Wally and Alfie and all those players. They didn't make the top 5 for 3 years. I mean, it's not easy, if your depth is not there, and regardless of what's happened on top. So they won't want too many more injuries. Having said that, they have got some really good young kids signed up there who are going to have big futures. They just don't need to get exposed too early. You haven't heard of them yet, but they will be. And
I think that's like Qatar will probably come back in, but I mean, you're right. I mean, the hardest thing about first grade is playing week in, week out. That's the toughest thing. A lot of guys can come up and play
particularly
one or two
at that intensity.
Without doubt, a lot of guys can come up and play 1 or 2 good games. That's not the hardest thing, but to do it week in, week out is the challenge. And if you put, as you said, 3, 4 of these young guys up in there and they have to do it by themselves without a lot of experience. I mean, Kafusi's still out. They've lost their halfback. This is where they may run into trouble. And look, that's been the case with Brisbane the last few years. They had to put so many young guys up so early, and now they're only seeing that the fruits of that come now. So it is probably what we all expected. Not expected, it's not what we all thought may happen. If they got some injuries, their depth will be tested, and here it is, see how they go.
What most people didn't expect was 3 straight wins. No one expected 3 wins to start the year. Most expected, Michael, 3 wins tops for the year. They can put the Q in the rack now, can't they? And it's still a success.
You have to ask the question, from what you've seen in the first 4 weeks, is this a top 8 team, top 4? Like, what standard are we talking about the Dolphins? Or is it hard to gauge for all the factors that you mentioned because it could be sort of derailed by injuries?
Exactly. It's a long season. Injury suspension come into it, which we're seeing now. I don't think they're a top 8 side at the moment, but I certainly didn't pick them to get the wooden spoon. I just think with a Wayne Bennett coach side, they'll have a good completion rate and they'll be able to defend, which gives you the opportunity to beat in every game. If you can jag a couple of tries, which you can these days, they will be thereabouts, but I don't think they'll be a top 8, and I think we may see them start to come back to the pack. The next week, they got the Dragons this week, so they would like to think they're going to win that. Then they have a couple of hard ones, the Cows and South.
And they're on the road for those first 2. They've got to go to Wollongong, they've got to go to Townsville.
So we may see them come back to pack a little bit, but they've had a fantastic start of the year, which has been great for the game, and hopefully then they can keep winning.